I think two people I know both perfectly and accurately summarize how Throne and Liberty feels right now. Force Gaming pointed out how convoluted Throne and Liberty feels with its 36 systems forced onto players in the first hour of playing, which overwhelms you. When things should be slowed down, they should be slowly introduced over time, providing ample opportunity to learn systems and mechanics. Redbeard Flynn went on to point out how he feels as though Throne and Liberty is a filler MMO, but at the very least, hey, it's better than Darrisland. Now, I'm gonna go ahead here and keep this short and concise because I've only played roughly 5 hours of the game. And while I definitely plan on playing significantly more upon full release, I do not want to burn myself out before that happens. Throne and Liberty is a beautiful game. It has some of the most gorgeous environments, the best special effects for skill animations. I was very disappointed with the character customization. There were certain sliders that I expected to be present given this was a Korean MMO that just weren't. You had a moderate amount of options to customize your face, but not really your body. Black Desert, hell, even Perfect World International has a better character creator than this does. And if games 5, 10, 20 years old are providing players a better creator experience, then you're doing something wrong. The world is enormous. There feels like there is an endless amount of things to do. Given this was a beta test, there were, I feel like, thousands of players around. Everywhere I looked, there were dozens, hundreds of little icons denoting a player. They were all attacking, they were all navigating, exploring. This genuinely felt like a very live, very rich world. Unfortunately, while there were lots of players, while there were little nodes to mine, while there were monsters to kill, while there were quests and side quests to engage in, the world still kind of felt empty. The world felt like you just moved from point A to point B to point A, back to point B, then to eventually point C. That is a very boring method of progression. Now, I understand this is the leveling experience, but the leveling experience should still grip you. It should enthrall you. It should make you want to keep participating in that experience. One thing that MMOs tend to always do wrong is they bore you to death with the introductory experience, so much so that you don't want to keep playing. Throne and Liberty is another prime example of that. It is absolutely no different to other MMOs, but due to that, as a direct consequence of being the same as 10 other MMOs, why would I want to do that for the 11th time in a row? It's just boring. There's a very prominent story present. I skipped some of it because I'm the kind of person that tends to want to skip stories in the beta, so when the game fully launches officially, I can see it fully realized. I can see it with full voice acting, all the localization correct. Typically in test phases, there is missing voice acting, there are missing quest lines. This is a test phase for a reason. The voice acting was fantastic. You don't encounter games, specifically MMOs, with voice casts that seemed as talented as this one was. There were characters, sure, that sounded absolutely ridiculous, but at the same time, there were characters that really stood out. I think the English dub here is done incredibly well, handled very well, and Amazon did a fantastic job localizing it. I think while the world was open, while there were thousands of people all navigating the world, all engaging with it, there was, and I only hit level 19 by the time I finished stream, and just slightly further than that off stream. I feel like outside of the forced group content, there really is no purpose to actually grouping with other people. My wife, MRSSSTIX, myself, a few of you guys that were there during stream all wanted to play together, but then there was absolutely no need. Monsters have shared tagging, which means you don't need to be in a group. You can hit a monster that 10 other people hit and receive credit. This trivializes group content unless you're the only one or the only group there engaging in the group content, which is definitely going to happen as the player base dries up, as the player base continues to move towards endgame. I haven't seen what endgame looks like. I haven't engaged in the endgame, so I don't know if the endgame is fun. I don't know if it's pay to win. I don't know if the game is significantly better once you get there. What I do know is if you have to get through all that crap, if you have to sit there struggling to prevent yourself from falling asleep until you inevitably make it to that point at the end of the game when you have finished and completed everything else the game has to offer, then that game is not worth my time personally. I have a very finite amount of time. As a content creator that runs this channel and my gacha channel, I have to prioritize where I want to dedicate my time, what games I want to dedicate my time to. I don't have time to spend 50, 100, 200 hours sifting through shit to find that little hidden gem, that part in the game where it actually becomes enjoyable. That is so many days wasted. Games should be fun from the get-go. You should be able to enjoy yourself playing the game hour 1, hour 3, hour 5, hour 10. You shouldn't have to wait for hour 50, 100, 200 to begin experiencing that. And I don't believe that I'm the only one that feels that way. When you look at the Steam charts, it peaked at 61,154 and then very rapidly began a severe decline. People were logging out very rapidly. Disinterest in the game was very evident. Player concurrency numbers should not dip that fast, that soon. Combat makes up the bulk of the game, or in theory, it should make up the bulk of the game. And honestly, from what I experienced, the combat just wasn't really that good. I feel like as an action MMO, there are so many other games that do it better. Blade and Soul, Terra did it better, Black Desert does it better, Elder Scrolls Online, Guild Wars 2. As a tab target MMO, World of Warcraft does it better, Arcade did it better, Ion did it better. There are so many better alternatives out there. This game feels like a convoluted mess of abilities. It feels severely underwhelming. I feel like the multi-weapon system was done incredibly well in Guild Wars 2. They perfected that feature. In Throne and Liberty, it's just you equip 2 weapons and you have a bunch of abilities and that's it. Not to mention the entire ability window, the skills, everything. Just, it was overwhelming. Very little was explained. I feel like you were met with dozens of systems that just weren't ever explained. You had so many things to learn that were just introduced to you en masse or just unlocked immediately. You had absolutely no time to slowly be introduced to and learn these features, these mechanics over time. Typically, traditionally, you are in MMOs, it's a slow burn where you're introduced to everything over time. In this, they hit you with everything to kind of like set you up with all these insane features, these insane things to do. But when you have too many things to do, you don't really want to do any of them. You just want to slowly explore the world. You just want to fight some cool monsters. You just want to group up with your friends and do shit. You want to engage with the story, right? It's overwhelming. The combat felt stiff. The animations felt kind of stiff. It felt clunky. It lacked impact. Again, I know there are going to be people that are like, but it gets better at endgame. Most people that quit the game as a direct result of feeling the way I do will never see endgame. A significant portion of people quit Final Fantasy XIV due to its horrifically boring story at the beginning of the game. WoW, Arcade, Ion, you're not met with that. You have significantly more freedom to explore and do whatever the hell you want to. A lot of people are going to see this game, they are going to play it, and they're going to realize that they do not like it. It doesn't matter if it gets better at endgame. It doesn't matter if it gets better 50 hours in. Most people aren't going to wait 50 hours for it to get good. Yes, there is a lot to do in this game. Yes, this game is very pretty. No, this game is not a bad game. This is not a bad game at all. It's just okay. But when you have the opportunity to play an okay game or an incredible game, why would you dedicate any time to the okay game when you could be enjoying, enthralling yourself in the incredible game? It just makes no sense. While Throne and Liberty might be a great game to some people, I just don't think it's going to be for a lot of us. I don't think this is the MMO we were hoping for or expecting. And based off of what I've played right now, I think it's just not a fun game. And given the mass exodus of players in Korea, given the significant decline in terms of concurrent players over the course of the last 24 hours, I'm not the only one that feels that way. Again, I don't think it's bad, I just don't think it's very good. And due to that, it's not something I'd play. I still plan on it because I need to, as I want to actively cover it and get as far through it as I possibly can. It's my job after all, not in the beta test, but at full release. And I genuinely hope you guys do give this a try. Don't take what one person says as objective fact. This is my personal opinion. This is the opinion of a few different creators that I know, some other players that I know. All of this is a subjective opinion, not objective fact. Just because we feel this way does not necessarily mean you will also feel this way. Again, you might love this game, and we might hate this game. We might love this game, you might hate this game, who knows? At the end of the day, make your own decision based off of your own experience. But at the same time, don't disregard what we say, just don't base your opinion off of that. Now, if this is not something you're at all interested in, absolutely no problem. I got you covered with 2 different videos on screen right now that might be more up your alley.